You've been lied to, not once, not twice, but for generations. They told you that power lives outside of you, that it belongs to the ones who wear suits, the ones with the armies, the ones with the banks. They told you that power is control, that it is dominance, that it is fear disguised as order. But that was never the truth, because real power, true power, is quiet. It is still. It cannot be bought, and it cannot be taken. It lives in the center of your being. It whispers in moments of silence, and it moves through you when you align with something greater than yourself. The ancients knew this. Long before governments, long before borders, long before money became God. In Egypt, they called it Ma'at. In Greece, it was the Logos. In India, Dharma. In China, the Tao. Each spoke of a universal order, a sacred rhythm that exists in everything. The stars, the seasons, the breath, the soul. And they taught that when you live in harmony with that order, you become unshakable, untouchable, free. Not free in the political sense, not free because someone gave you permission, but free because you remember who you are. A fragment of the divine, a living temple. A force more ancient than any empire. This is why mystics were feared, why philosophers were exiled, why temples were burned, why books were banned. Because awakened people don't obey blindly. They don't follow tyrants. They don't trade their soul for comfort. They remember, and in that remembering, they become powerful. You don't need to fight the system the way it wants you to. That's how it traps you. That's how it feeds. What it cannot handle is your inner stillness. Your refusal to react with rage. Your decision to awaken instead of conform. Quantum physics now tells us what mystics have always known. That the mind shapes reality. That your focus creates your world. That intention moves energy. The Hermetic Law says, all is mind. Meaning this universe isn't random. It's mental, it's energetic, it's spiritual, and once you understand that, you stop looking for power out there. You stop chasing status. You stop trying to fix the world with broken tools. You go inward, into the temple, into the space where change begins. Because here's the secret they hoped you'd never find. When you reclaim your inner world, the outer world starts to shift. This is not just personal. This is political. This is spiritual defiance. This is rebellion in its purest form. Not with anger, but with awareness. Not with violence, but with vibration. Not with protest signs, but with presence. So if you're tired of the lies, if you feel the pull of something deeper, if your soul is whispering that there must be more, you are not alone. There is a movement rising, one that doesn't scream. It remembers. This is your invitation, not to fight harder, but to wake up, to become the master of your own energy, to remember the ancient codes that live inside you, to return to the temple within. Because the greatest revolution is the one that starts in your own mind. You've been waking up. The veil is thinner. Your soul is starting to remember. And now, you're ready for the next level. Everything you've been taught was designed to keep you asleep. But what if I told you the system has rules, invisible laws, not made by man, but by the very fabric of the universe itself? These laws are ancient, powerful, and real. They weren't designed to oppress you. They were designed to free you. Once hidden in secret texts, now rising again for a new age. They are known as the 7 Hermetic Principles. And when you understand them, you don't just escape the matrix, you bend it. Law 1, the principle of mentalism. All is mind. The universe is mental. Nothing in your life is random. Every experience begins as a thought. The universe is not a machine. It's a mind, a living, breathing consciousness. And your thoughts? They're not meaningless. They are blueprints. Every belief you carry, every mental image you feed, is programming the world around you. This is why systems of control drown you in fear, why they feed you chaos. Because if your mind creates reality, then controlling your thoughts is controlling your life. There once was a man imprisoned for 20 years. Every day he meditated, imagining himself walking free, building homes, helping others. When he was finally released, he was nearly 60. He had no money, no family. But within 5 years, he built a successful construction company and a youth program for troubled boys. When asked how he did it, he said, "I never left freedom. I built it in my mind until it had no choice but to follow." The Matrix feeds you chaos, so you'll think chaos is all there is. But when you master your mind, you master your world. Once you understand this law, you take your power back, you become the architect. You stop reacting, you start creating. Law 2, the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As within, so without. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe, expressed in human form. The patterns that exist in the cosmos exist inside your very cells. Your inner world is reflected in your outer world. So if the world around you is broken, it's not just out there. It's a mirror. A woman spent her life blaming others. Toxic friends, unfair bosses, failed relationships. One day she looked in the mirror and asked, "What do they all have in common?" The answer shook her. Me. She started therapy, meditation. She cleared her self-worth wounds, and within 6 months, everything changed. New people, new job, new peace. She didn't change the world, she changed her inner world. The rest followed. You don't fix the system by raging at the screen. You fix it by going inward, healing your mind, clearing your emotions, reclaiming your sacred energy. When enough people do this, the entire world shifts, not by force, but by reflection. Law 3, the principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. This isn't poetry. This is quantum physics. Everything is energy. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every emotion you feel sends out a frequency. Love is a frequency. Fear is a frequency. And your entire reality is built on the vibration you carry. A child enters a room. Her mother is smiling, but the child feels something's wrong. She doesn't have the words for it yet, but she senses it. That's vibration. It speaks before language. When you feel heavy, stuck, angry, you're vibrating low. When you feel light, grateful, clear, you rise. You attract different people, different outcomes, different timelines. Don't fight the external. Raise your frequency, and reality will bend. Low vibration chains you to the matrix. It keeps you in survival mode. High vibration opens doors, shifts timelines, aligns you with miracles. This is why spiritual practice matters, not for tradition, but for transmission. You're not here to match the world's chaos. You're here to rise above it. Law 4, the principle of polarity. Everything is dual, Opposites are identical in nature but different in degree. Light and dark, hot and cold, love and hate. They are not enemies. They are different points on the same spectrum. You are not here to eliminate one side. You're here to transcend the illusion, to understand that joy is born from sorrow, that courage is formed through fear. A man lost everything in a fire, his home, his shop, his life's work. He wanted to give up, but months later, as he sat by the ocean, he realized that losing everything meant he could finally live without fear. He rebuilt his life, not around survival, but around purpose. He said, "I was never free until I lost what I thought I needed." Polarity teaches us. Pain births growth. Loss opens new paths. Darkness reveals light. Don't run from contrast. Use it. When you stop running from discomfort, you unlock your evolution. When you accept both poles, you become whole. And a whole human cannot be controlled. Law 5, the principle of rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has tides. Life is not static. It breathes. It moves. There will be highs. There will be lows. The Matrix wants you to panic when things fall, to believe every winter is eternal. But rhythm is divine. Every season has a purpose. Every spiral has a center. A woman was depressed every winter. Every year the same collapse. Until one year she stopped fighting it. She embraced winter as her inner season. She painted, she journaled, she hibernated. Spring came, and so did joy. She stopped seeing the cycle as a curse and began using it as a rhythm. Don't resist your seasons. Flow with them. They're not punishment. They're preparation. When you honor the rhythm of your own energy, you stop forcing. You stop comparing. You trust the dance of creation. You stop chasing life and start flowing with it. Law 6, the principle of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. There are no accidents. Every choice you make ripples through time and space. This law frees you from victimhood, because if your past choices shaped today, your current choices are shaping tomorrow. A man flipped off a stranger in traffic. 5 minutes later, that same stranger was the hiring manager he met at a job interview. That's cause and effect, not in some mystical sense, but in the web of reality we all co-create. You are not a victim. You are a participant. Small actions lead to massive outcomes. Your kindness, your intentions, your choices, they matter. Always. You don't need luck. You need alignment, clarity, intention. Understand this law. And you don't just respond to reality, you craft it. Law 7, the principle of gender. Gender is in everything. Masculine and feminine exist in all planes. This has nothing to do with biology, and everything to do with energy. Masculine energy is will, direction, penetration. Feminine energy is intuition, creation, receptivity. Both exist in every human being, and both are divine. A successful businessman built $1 million empire, but he was exhausted, empty. He had no joy, no passion, until he began painting again, resting, listening. He reconnected with his feminine. His joy returned. So did his health. Balance is the key. Too much masculine, you burn out. Too much feminine, you drift without direction. But when they dance together, you become unstoppable. Society wants to divide us, force us to choose. But when you balance the sacred masculine and feminine within, you become complete, powerful, wise. This is the true alchemy. Union within, harmony without. These are not just teachings, they are tools, keys to unlocking the matrix from the inside out. They don't belong to any religion. They belong to you. And now that you know them, nothing can keep you asleep. So study them, live them, test them, because the matrix may run on illusion, but reality runs on truth. And truth cannot be suppressed forever. The law of one, unity consciousness. Let us now step into the first great truth, the law of one. This law tells us that all is one. One is all. The separation you see, the divisions between you and I, the rich and the poor, the divine and the human, are illusions of the material world. Ancient mystics knew this long before science confirmed it. The Vedas called it Brahman, the undivided reality. The Taoists called it the Tao, the eternal, nameless source. Gnostics referred to it as the pleroma. And today, quantum physicists are discovering the unified field, a sea of energy connecting all things. Imagine a single beam of light passing through a prism. That light fractures into many colors, but all colors are still part of the one beam. Likewise, each soul is a facet of the one consciousness, temporarily forgetting its origin. We are like fingers on the same hand, arguing over who is more real. This law invites you to dissolve judgment. When you harm another, you harm yourself. When you love another, you heal yourself. This is not poetry. It is physics wrapped in spirit. Unity consciousness is the foundation of higher living. It opens the door to empathy, to forgiveness, and to transcending the tribal thinking that enslaves so much of our society. When you remember the one, you no longer live in fear. You rise, you radiate, you become the temple. 2. The law of karma, conscious cause and effect. Now let us walk into the second truth, the law of karma. Often misunderstood, karma is not a divine punishment. It is a law of cause and effect, not unlike Newton's laws, but applied to consciousness. Every thought you hold, every emotion you amplify, every action you take, ripples outward. These ripples return, not as retribution, but as resonance. Think of karma as an echo. You shout into a canyon with fear, and fear returns. You whisper with compassion, and compassion flows back. There is an ancient story of a man who, in anger, cursed the soil and planted bitter herbs. Years later, those herbs overtook his entire field. He tried to plant roses, but the soil was tainted with his own bitterness. Karma teaches us. We live in the harvest of our own energetic planting. Every day you plant seeds through attention, intention, and emotion. You may not see the results immediately, but trust, they grow. In a world seduced by shortcuts and quick returns, karma asks for patience, for integrity, for trust in the unseen. And yet, karma is not fixed. It is not fate. It is energy in motion. Change your pattern, and the echo changes too. Karma is not here to trap you. It is here to awaken you, to show you the sacred responsibility of your own consciousness. When you live as a conscious creator, karma becomes your ally. It becomes the rhythm to your dance with destiny. 3. The chakra system, energy centers as portals of power. We now open the inner map, the sacred architecture of the soul known as the chakra system. Your body is not simply flesh and bone, it is a symphony of energy. 7 main energy centers spiral through you from root to crown. Each one is a gate, a lesson, a sacred test. The root, Muladhara, grounds you to the earth. It governs survival, security, and primal trust. The sacral, Svadhisthana, rules your creativity, sensuality, and emotional flow. The solar plexus, Manipura, holds your willpower, confidence, and identity. The heart, Anahata, is the bridge, the place where human love meets divine compassion. The throat, Vishuddha, gives voice to your truth, your song, your vibration. The third eye, Ajna, pierces illusion. It awakens the inner vision beyond appearances. The crown, Sahasrara, connects you to the infinite, the source, the formless realm. Each chakra spins like a wheel. When blocked, it distorts your reality. A blocked heart may lead to isolation and bitterness. A closed throat may create silence when truth is needed most. An overactive root may cause fear, hoarding, and defensiveness. But when these centers are open, aligned, and balanced, you become a temple of light. You walk with clarity. You speak with wisdom. You love without fear. A woman who has never been safe in her body may carry wounds in the root. But through grounding practices, somatic healing, and breath, she can anchor again. She can reclaim her foundation. The chakras are not abstract. They are mirrors. They show you where energy is flowing and where it is begging to be freed. To heal the world, you must first heal your temple, and your temple is built upon these 7 gates. Sacred geometry and the architecture of the soul. What is sacred geometry? Sacred geometry is the study of shapes, patterns, and proportions that are believed to carry deep symbolic and spiritual meaning. These geometric forms are seen as the blueprint of creation, a visual language that reveals how energy patterns organize themselves into everything, from the tiniest cell to the grandest spiral galaxy. Ancient cultures and spiritual traditions across the world have recognized these patterns, using them in the design of temples, art, and sacred spaces. At its core, sacred geometry expresses the interconnectedness of all things, the unity of the universe, and the divine order underlying existence, 1, 2, 3. The flower of life, Fibonacci, and Metatron's cube. Among the most iconic symbols of sacred geometry is the flower of life. This pattern is made from overlapping circles, creating a lattice that is said to represent the fundamental structure of space and time. The flower of life holds within it other sacred forms, such as the seed of life and the fruit of life. It is believed to signify the interconnectedness of all beings and the divine geometric pattern that creates and sustains life on Earth 4. The Fibonacci sequence is another profound example. It is a mathematical pattern where each number is the sum of the 2 preceding numbers, 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, and so on. This sequence appears throughout nature, in the spiral of seashells, the arrangement of flower petals, the branching of trees, and even the proportions of the human body. It is closely related to the golden ratio, a proportion that evokes harmony and balance and is found in art, architecture, and living organisms, 5. Metatron's cube is a complex geometric figure composed of 13 circles connected by straight lines. Named after the archangel Metatron, it is said to represent the flow of energy in creation and the interconnectedness of all things. The Metatron cube contains within it all 5 platonic solids, the foundational shapes of 3-dimensional space, symbolizing the building blocks of the universe. It is often used in meditation and spiritual practices to connect with higher consciousness and divine order 6. How geometry shapes creation, biology, and consciousness. Geometry is not just a human invention, it is woven into the very fabric of reality. The belief that a divine intelligence created the universe according to a geometric plan dates back to ancient philosophers like Plato, who famously said, "God geometrizes continually." Modern mathematicians and physicists echo this sentiment, recognizing geometry as a fundamental avenue for understanding the universe 12. In biology, sacred geometry is evident in the spiral patterns of DNA, the branching of trees, the symmetry of snowflakes, and the structure of crystals. The Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio guide the growth of plants, the formation of shells, and even the proportions of the human face and body. These patterns are not only beautiful, but also efficient, optimizing the flow of energy and resources in living systems 5. On a deeper level, sacred geometry is believed to shape consciousness itself. Meditating on geometric forms like the flower of life or Metatron's cube can expand awareness, align energies, and facilitate spiritual growth. These symbols serve as bridges between the rational mind and intuitive understanding, helping us recognize our unity with the cosmos and the underlying harmony of existence. 2-3-6. Conclusion. Sacred geometry reveals the hidden architecture of the soul and the universe. It is a language of patterns and proportions that connects the physical and spiritual realms. By observing and meditating on these forms, we can deepen our understanding of creation, biology, and consciousness, awakening to the profound order and beauty that underlies all things. The real war is energetic, frequency versus fear. Modern mystics and spiritual practitioners often describe the core of spiritual warfare as an energetic battle, rather than a purely physical or ideological one. This view holds that everything in the universe, including human consciousness, operates at certain frequencies. Fear, negativity, and manipulation are seen as low-frequency energies that can disrupt personal and collective well-being. In contrast, love, truth, and higher awareness are associated with higher frequencies that foster healing, clarity, and unity. The struggle, then, is to maintain a high-frequency state through practices like meditation, prayer, and conscious living, despite the pervasive influence of fear-based narratives and energies. What breaking the matrix actually means. Breaking the matrix is a term used by many modern mystics and truth-seekers to describe the process of awakening from conditioned patterns and societal illusions. The matrix refers to the web of beliefs, systems, and energies that keep individuals locked in fear, conformity, and spiritual amnesia. To break the matrix is to see through these illusions, reclaim one's sovereignty, and align with deeper spiritual truths. It is an act of liberation, choosing to live authentically, question narratives, and seek direct connection with the divine or universal consciousness. Why lightworkers and truth seekers are being tested. Those who identify as lightworkers or truth seekers, individuals devoted to healing, awakening, and spreading higher consciousness, often report feeling tested or challenged in today's world. These tests manifest as increased inner struggles, external resistance, or feelings of isolation. The intensity of the war is said to be increasing as old systems and energies resist transformation. For mystics, these trials are opportunities for growth, purification, and deeper union with the divine. The path requires perseverance, discernment, and a commitment to embodying higher frequencies, even when faced with adversity or misunderstanding. Spiritual warfare in the modern age is understood as an energetic contest between fear and higher frequency states. Breaking the matrix means awakening from illusion and reclaiming spiritual sovereignty. Lightworkers and mystics are being tested, not as punishment, but as part of a greater process of transformation, both personal and collective. The journey is one of resilience, conscious choice, and unwavering commitment to truth and love. Type 1 in the chat if this resonates with you. Lightworkers and truth seekers are often tested during their journey toward higher consciousness for several profound reasons. As individuals raise their consciousness, they become more sensitive to the energies around them. This heightened sensitivity can make them feel overwhelmed or drained by negative environments or people. It is both a gift and a challenge, requiring them to learn how to protect and ground themselves while still maintaining compassion and openness. Another core reason for these tests is the process known as shadow work. Lightworkers must face and heal their own fears, wounds, and unresolved emotions before they can truly help others. This often involves periods of isolation, self-doubt, and letting go of relationships or habits that no longer resonate with their evolving energy. Though difficult, these experiences are essential for authentic spiritual growth and the development of inner strength. Lightworkers are also called to lead by example, embodying authenticity and higher vibrations in their daily lives. This can feel isolating, as not everyone may understand or support their journey. These phases of loneliness or feeling like an outsider are part of the process, helping them become more resilient and aligned with their true purpose. Ultimately, these tests serve to strengthen their connection to their mission, deepen their compassion, and prepare them to guide others through collective spiritual awakening. By overcoming these challenges, lightworkers become more effective channels of healing and positive transformation for the world. Modern mystics interpret the energetic war between light and darkness as a profound interplay of forces, not simply a battle of good versus evil. Rather than viewing darkness as a purely malevolent or destructive force, many mystics see it as a necessary and complementary aspect of existence, akin to the yin-yang paradigm, where light and darkness together create balance and harmony. Darkness is often understood as the womb or fertile chaos from which new life and transformation emerge, not as something to be feared or condemned. This perspective emphasizes that both light and darkness serve a purpose in the spiritual journey, supporting growth and deeper understanding. For mystics, light is often experienced as an inner illumination or divine presence, a subtle, empowering energy that can be cultivated through devotion, meditation, or spiritual practice. Darkness, on the other hand, is seen as ignorance, illusion, or the absence of awareness. Yet it is also a sacred mystery that challenges the seeker to grow and realize the nothingness or illusory nature of fear and separation. The energetic war is thus not about one force destroying the other, but about integrating both aspects within oneself. Embracing and understanding darkness empowers the light within, enabling healing, transformation, and a deeper connection to the divine. Ultimately, modern mystics teach that the true victory is not in vanquishing darkness, but in transcending duality and realizing the oneness that underlies all experience. This realization brings empowerment, compassion, and the ability to serve as a light bearer in both the inner and outer worlds. As lightworkers and truth seekers navigate the challenges of spiritual awakening, they are often called to confront not only the energies of the world around them, but also the hidden depths within themselves. This inner journey, marked by the need to face one's own shadows, fears, and unconscious patterns, is where the wisdom of Carl Jung becomes especially relevant. Jung, a pioneering psychologist and modern mystic, understood that true transformation requires more than raising one's frequency or spreading light outward. He taught that the path to wholeness demands an honest encounter with the shadow, the parts of ourselves we deny, suppress, or project onto others. Jung's own experiences, including profound visions and near-death encounters with the numinous, convinced him that spiritual growth is inseparable from psychological integration. Only by embracing both light and darkness within can we achieve authentic healing and become vessels for the divine in the world. This is the essence of spiritual alchemy, a process Jung explored deeply, mapping the stages of inner transformation as a journey toward the true self. Carl Jung and spiritual alchemy. Carl Jung viewed alchemy as a profound metaphor for psychological and spiritual transformation. He believed that the ancient alchemists' quest to turn lead into gold symbolized the inner journey of turning the base metals of the unconscious into the gold of self-realization and wholeness. Jung called this process individuation, the integration of the conscious and unconscious mind, leading to the emergence of the true self. The 7 stages of alchemy. Let's explore the 7 classic stages of spiritual alchemy, each representing a step in the transformation of the psyche. Calcination. The process begins with calcination, where the ego and old beliefs are burned away. This fiery stage represents the breakdown of pride, illusions, and attachments that no longer serve the soul. Dissolution. Next comes dissolution, symbolized by water. Here, the ashes of the ego are dissolved, and repressed emotions and unconscious material rise to the surface. It is a cathartic release, freeing oneself from rigid identities and allowing hidden aspects to emerge. Separation. In the separation stage, the pure is extracted from the impure. This is a time of discernment, distinguishing the authentic self from acquired patterns and habitual responses. The essence of the soul is clarified, and polarities within are recognized and prepared for union. Conjunction. Conjunction is the union of opposites. Intuition and logic, body and spirit, masculine and feminine energies come together in harmony. This stage marks the beginning of inner unity and integration. Fermentation. Fermentation, or putrefaction, is the death of the old self and the birth of a new, more authentic being. Like the phoenix rising from ashes, the soul is reborn, infused with spiritual insight and vitality. This stage can bring both despair and bliss, as the old is released and the new emerges. Eindavde, distillation. In distillation, all impurities are removed. The essence of the self is refined, and the soul becomes attuned to higher consciousness. The ego's dominance fades, and the voice of the soul grows stronger. This is a time of deep spiritual clarity and purification. Eindavde. Coagulation. Finally, coagulation is the realization of the philosopher's stone, the union of spirit and matter. The individual achieves wholeness, embodying the true self in daily life. This is the gold of spiritual alchemy, an awakened, integrated, and authentic existence. Ego death as sacred purification. Central to Jung's vision is the concept of ego death. This is not a literal death, but a sacred purification, a letting go of limiting beliefs, attachments, and false identities. Ego death is experienced as a dark night of the soul, where the old self dissolves, making space for deeper wisdom and transformation. Through this process, the soul is purified and prepared for spiritual rebirth, allowing the true self to emerge and shine. Jung's spiritual alchemy teaches that the path to wholeness is not linear, but a spiral journey through cycles of death and rebirth, purification and integration. Each stage is both a challenge and a blessing, leading us closer to the gold within. Welcome, seeker, to a journey through the ancient art of alchemy. Not as a quest for gold, but as a profound metaphor for the transformation of the soul. Carl Jung, the pioneering psychologist, saw in alchemy a mirror for our own inner process. The journey of individuation, where we move from fragmentation to wholeness, from unconsciousness to the radiant light of the true self. In this narrative, we will explore the deeper symbolism and psychological dynamics embedded in the alchemical journey. We will walk the 7 stages of alchemy, encounter the archetypes that guide us, and reflect on how these ancient mysteries still shape our lives today. 1. The prima materia, entering the mystery. Every alchemical journey begins with the prima materia, the raw, undifferentiated matter that contains all possibilities. For the alchemists, this was the base metal, the lead, the chaos of the world. For Jung, it is the unconscious itself, the tangled mass of instincts, memories, fears, and desires that we inherit and accumulate. To begin the work, we must face our own prima materia. This means turning inward, confronting the aspects of ourselves we would rather ignore. Our wounds, our shadows, the parts we have rejected or denied. It is here, in the darkness, that transformation becomes possible. The prima materia is not something to be discarded, but the sacred ground from which new life emerges. 2. Calcination, the fire of purification. The first stage of alchemy is calcination, the burning away of impurities, the destruction of the ego's illusions. In psychological terms, calcination is the experience of crisis, when the structures we have built to protect ourselves begin to crumble. We may feel lost, anxious, or stripped bare. This is the fire that purifies, the necessary suffering that reveals what is real and essential. Jung called this the confrontation with the shadow. It is the willingness to see ourselves honestly, to let go of pride, denial, and self-deception. Through calcination, we are humbled, and in that humility, we become open to transformation. 3. Dissolution, the waters of release. After fire comes water. Dissolution is the stage where the ashes of the ego are dissolved, and the boundaries between conscious and unconscious begin to blur. Emotions rise to the surface: grief, longing, regret, hope. Old patterns and attachments are washed away. This is a time of surrender, of letting go. We allow ourselves to feel, to mourn, to be vulnerable. Jung saw dissolution as the necessary descent into the unconscious, the willingness to explore dreams, fantasies, and forgotten memories. It is a time of deep healing as the waters of the soul cleanse and renew us. 4. Separation, distilling the essence. With the old dissolved, we enter the stage of separation. Here, the alchemist separates the pure from the impure, the gold from the dross. In our own lives, this is a time of discernment. We ask, what is truly ours? What beliefs, values, and desires belong to us, and what have we inherited or absorbed from others? Separation is the work of clarifying our essence, distinguishing the authentic self from the masks we wear. Jung described this as the integration of the anima and animus, the feminine and masculine energies within each person. We begin to see ourselves more clearly, to honor our unique gifts and wounds. V. Conjunction, the union of opposites. The next stage is conjunction, the sacred marriage of opposites within the soul. Logic and intuition, body and spirit, masculine and feminine, light and shadow. All are brought together in creative tension. This is not a simple harmony, but a dynamic union, a dance of polarities that generates new life. Jung called this the transcendent function, the ability to hold paradox, to embrace complexity, to allow something greater to emerge from the meeting of opposites. In conjunction, we experience moments of insight, inspiration, and deep peace. We glimpse the possibility of wholeness. Sixth, fermentation, death and rebirth. Fermentation is the stage of putrefaction and renewal. It is the death of the old self and the birth of the new. This stage often comes as a crisis or dark night of the soul. We may feel lost, empty, or abandoned. But in this darkness, something miraculous occurs. The soul is quickened, infused with new life. Jung saw fermentation as the emergence of the self, the deeper, wiser center of our being. This is the stage of spiritual insight, creativity, and transformation. We are no longer who we were, but not yet fully who we are becoming. Seventh, distillation, the essence refined. Distillation is the process of refinement, the repeated purification of the soul. In this stage, we rise above old patterns, gaining clarity, perspective, and wisdom. The ego's grip loosens, and the voice of the self grows stronger. This is a time of spiritual practice, contemplation, and integration. We learn to trust our intuition, to live from the center of our being. Fifth, coagulation, the philosopher's stone. The final stage is coagulation, the realization of the philosopher's stone. Here, spirit and matter are united. The individual becomes whole, embodying the true self in daily life. This is the gold of alchemy. Not literal wealth, but the richness of an awakened, integrated existence. Jung called this individuation, the fulfillment of our unique destiny, the flowering of our deepest potential. Ninth, archetypes of the alchemical journey. Throughout the alchemical journey, we encounter powerful archetypes, universal patterns that shape our inner and outer worlds. The shadow, the anima and animus, the wise old man or woman, the divine child, the trickster. Each appears at different stages, offering guidance, challenge, and insight. These figures are not just symbols, but living realities within the psyche. They help us navigate the mysteries of transformation, pointing the way to healing and wholeness. 10. The alchemical marriage, embracing paradox. One of the deepest teachings of alchemy is the union of opposites, the alchemical marriage of sun and moon, king and queen, spirit and body. This union is not about erasing difference, but about embracing paradox, holding tension, and allowing something new to be born. In our own lives, this means accepting both our light and our darkness, our strengths and our wounds, our joy and our sorrow. It is in this embrace that true transformation occurs. 11. The dark night and the gift of ego death. No alchemical journey is complete without the experience of ego death, the loss of the old self, the surrender to the unknown. This is the dark night of the soul, a time of emptiness, confusion, and despair. But it is also a sacred purification, a necessary passage that prepares us for rebirth. Through ego death, we discover the deeper self, the source of wisdom, love, and creativity within. 12th, the philosopher's stone, living the mystery. In the end, the philosopher's stone is not a thing to be possessed, but a way of being. A life lived in harmony with the self, in service to the world. The alchemical journey is never truly finished. Each cycle brings new challenges, new opportunities for growth. We are always being called to deeper integration, to greater wholeness, to the unfolding mystery of who we are. 13. The legacy of alchemy and Jung. Carl Jung's work reminds us that the symbols and stages of alchemy are not relics of the past, but living realities within the psyche. They offer a map for the journey of transformation, a guide for anyone seeking meaning, healing, and purpose. By walking the alchemical path, we become alchemists of our own souls, turning the lead of suffering into the gold of wisdom and love. 14th, reflection and integration. As we come to the end of this narrative, take a moment to reflect on your own alchemical journey. Where are you in the cycle? What stage calls to you now? Remember, transformation is not a destination, but a way of being, a willingness to face the unknown, to embrace both shadow and light, to trust the wisdom of your own soul. May the symbols of alchemy inspire you, may the teachings of Jung guide you, and may you discover the gold that lies within. This concludes our journey through the deeper symbolism and psychological dynamics of the alchemical path. Thank you for listening, and may your own journey be blessed with insight, courage, and transformation. As we emerge from the transformative fires of the alchemical journey, we find ourselves standing at a new threshold, one where the quest for inner wholeness opens into a deeper relationship with the guidance of the unseen. Throughout history and across cultures, seekers have spoken of receiving support from realms beyond the ordinary, through the gentle presence of angels, the quiet whisper of intuition, and the living resonance of sacred words. These forms of spiritual guidance are not bound to any one tradition or belief system. They are invitations to recognize that we are never truly alone on our path. Whether we call upon angels, spirit guides, or the wisdom found in holy texts, we open ourselves to a current of divine support and inspiration. The Word of God, however we understand it, may come as a passage from Scripture, a line of poetry, or a sudden insight that brings peace to the heart. Angels, too, are not limited to any one faith. They appear in stories from every corner of the world, offering comfort, protection, and guidance to those who seek with sincerity. As we journey deeper into the landscape of spiritual transformation, we come to a place where the inner work of self-discovery opens us to the subtle, yet profound, guidance of higher energies. This guidance, whether from angels, spirit guides, or the universal wisdom that flows through all things, is always available to us. Yet it often arrives in ways that require a quiet mind, an open heart, and a willingness to listen beyond the noise of daily life. Listening for the subtle messages. The first step in attuning to spiritual guidance is learning to listen. This is not the listening of ordinary conversation, but a deeper, more receptive kind of attention. It is the art of becoming still, of quieting the mind and softening the heart so that the subtle whispers of spirit can be heard. You might begin by setting aside a few moments each day for silence or meditation. As you breathe and let go of distractions, notice what arises in the space between your thoughts. Guidance may come as a gentle nudge, a fleeting image, a word or phrase that repeats in your mind, or simply a feeling of peace or reassurance. Trust that these subtle impressions are not random. They are the language of spirit, and with practice, you will become more fluent in their meaning. trusting the signs. Attuning to spiritual guidance also means learning to trust the signs and synchronicities that appear in your life. Sometimes, guidance arrives not as a voice within, but as an event or encounter in the outer world. A conversation with a stranger, a book that falls open to the perfect page, or a song that plays just when you need to hear its message. These moments are not mere coincidences. They are invitations to pay attention, to recognize that you are being supported and guided by forces greater than yourself. The more you acknowledge and honor these signs, the more frequently they will appear. Allowing ourselves to be led. Perhaps the most challenging aspect of spiritual attunement is allowing ourselves to be led. This requires humility, surrender, and a willingness to trust the unknown. It means letting go of the need to control every outcome, and instead, opening to the guidance that flows from a higher wisdom. You may find yourself drawn to new opportunities, relationships, or paths that you never would have chosen on your own. Trust that these promptings are leading you exactly where you need to go, even if the way is not always clear. Practices for deepening spiritual attunement. There are many ways to strengthen your connection to spiritual guidance. Spend time in nature, where the mind can quiet and the heart can open. Keep a journal of dreams, synchronicities, and intuitive insights. Practice gratitude, which raises your vibration and attracts more positive guidance. Engage in prayer, meditation, or contemplation, inviting guidance to make itself known. Ask for signs or confirmation, then remain open and patient as they appear. Remember, spiritual guidance is not about receiving all the answers at once. It is a relationship, a dance of listening, trusting, and responding. As you cultivate this relationship, you will find that your life becomes more aligned, more meaningful, and more deeply supported by unseen hands. Segue, the common ways people notice angelic or higher guidance. Now that we've explored how to attune to spiritual guidance, let's look at the most common ways people notice the presence of angels or higher energies in their lives. These signs can be subtle or unmistakable, but they all serve as reminders that you are never alone on your journey. Some signs are so delicate, they might be overlooked if you are not paying attention. Others are so striking, they leave you with a sense of awe, wonder, or deep gratitude. You may notice a sudden wave of peace washing over you during a stressful time, as if an invisible presence is comforting and uplifting your spirit. You might catch a glimpse of a soft light, a gentle shimmer, or a fleeting shadow in the corner of your eye. A visual cue that you are not alone. Sometimes you'll find feathers, coins, or other small objects in unexpected places, as if left as calling cards from the angelic realm. You may hear a song on the radio whose lyrics speak directly to your heart, or notice a phrase or message that repeats throughout your day. In conversations, on billboards, or even in your dreams. Profound experiences of guidance. There are times when the presence of higher energies is unmistakable. You might feel an overwhelming sense of love and protection, as if you are being embraced by something far greater than yourself. You may have a vivid dream or vision in which an angel, guide, or radiant being offers comfort, wisdom, or a message that brings clarity to your waking life. In moments of crisis, you might find yourself inexplicably guided away from danger, or making decisions that, in hindsight, reveal a pattern of divine orchestration. Physical and sensory signs. Some people report feeling a tingling sensation, a gentle pressure on their shoulders, or a warm presence nearby, especially during meditation, prayer, or moments of deep emotion. You might notice a sudden, sweet fragrance in the air, or hear soft chimes, whispers, or a gentle breeze when there is no obvious source. Synchronicities and repeated patterns. One of the most common ways higher energies communicate is through synchronicity. Meaningful coincidences that seem to defy logic. You might see repeating numbers such as 1111 or 444 on clocks, receipts, or license plates. You may encounter the same animal, symbol, or message multiple times in a short period, each appearance nudging you to pay attention and trust the unfolding path. Inner knowing and intuitive nudges. Perhaps the most personal sign of spiritual support is the quiet voice within, an inner knowing, a gut feeling, or a sudden clarity that guides you toward wise choices and deeper understanding. This intuitive guidance often feels gentle, never forceful, and is accompanied by a sense of peace or rightness, even if the path ahead is uncertain. Welcoming the signs. The more you notice and honor these signs, the more attuned you become to the presence of angels and higher energies in your life. Trust that you are always supported, even when the signs are subtle or the journey feels lonely. By opening your heart and mind to these experiences, you invite even greater guidance, protection, and love into your daily life. Remember, spiritual support is always available. Sometimes as a whisper, sometimes as a miracle. Always as a reminder that you are never truly alone. As we draw to a close, take a moment to honor the journey you have traveled. From the ancient wisdom of alchemy and inner transformation, to the subtle, loving presence of angels and higher energies guiding your path. You have learned that true transformation begins within, with the courage to face your shadows, the humility to let go, and the willingness to embrace both your light and your darkness. You have discovered that spiritual guidance is always available, sometimes as a gentle nudge, sometimes as a sign or synchronicity, and always as a quiet assurance that you are never alone. By listening deeply, trusting the signs, and allowing yourself to be led by higher wisdom, you open the door to a life of greater purpose, meaning, and connection. Remember, the journey of awakening is not a destination, but an ongoing process, a dance of becoming, of learning, and of returning again and again to the center of your own being. May you continue to walk this path with courage and curiosity, welcoming the guidance that comes in both subtle and miraculous ways. May you trust in your own inner wisdom and know that you are supported by loving energies, seen and unseen, every step of the way. Thank you for joining on this journey of discovery, transformation, and spiritual connection. May your path be blessed, and may you always remember, you are guided, you are loved, and you are never alone.